Ready? Good evening. Welcome to the Sunbury Parks and Recreation Committee meeting. Today is Wednesday, March 4th at 5:30 p.m. Mr. Bennett. Shaking my head. If we could get a roll call, please.
Mrs. Cooper?
Here.
Mrs. Crawford?
Here.
Mr. Long is absent. Two present. We have quorum.
Mr. Long did inform me that he will be a couple minutes. He's walking in right now, so no problem. We are just going to do the approval of the minutes while Mr. Long gets settled. I will make a motion on the January 7th meeting.
I'll second.
With a second from Ms. Crawford. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
3 yeas, motion approved.
Okay, thank you. Any visitors tonight that would like to speak to council? Mr. Bennett, we can bring you up later if need be. Okay. We're going to move on to unfinished business with J.R. Smith Park. Ms. Odebrowski, is that you? Or?
Yeah, let me go ahead and get started with where the contractor is.
Okay.
So 2K General was awarded the contract. There have been a few delays in them getting started. We were hopeful that they'd be able to be under construction, maybe starting this week. But they're planning on starting mobilization the week of March 26th. Part of this is due to a delay in getting one of the permits necessary so that they can be compliant with starting to break ground.
Okay.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention to the team is that tonight at council, we will have a contract to award the contract administration and construction inspection to EDG, Environmental Design Group. It is the same company that inspected the Columbus Street parking lot, and that contract is just under $200,000 for the 6-month duration of the project.
What are they going to be inspecting? Or is this for later? Or they're going to start inspecting immediately once the?
Yep, so they will do the inspection from a daily quality perspective, but also to make sure the materials and everything that is provided from the suppliers is correct and compliant with the plans.
So council is going to need to pass, you're going to recommend we pass this evening.
It would be, since they're not starting, we could do 2 readings.
Okay.
But if the group were comfortable, it would be okay to pass it as well. We have worked with them before, so once we do have it approved through council, we should be able to execute the contract very quickly because they're not.
Did you say what else have they helped us with?
Columbus Street parking lot. They were the inspector in the field.
Yeah, so maybe another way to think about it, I mean, they serve as the owner's representative, as Carla had indicated. They're there, they are on site to make sure we're getting what we paid for. And they have the specialization to kind of understand, again, materials, construction methods, that kind of thing, in a way that city staff wouldn't necessarily know.
Okay. All right, we'll bring that up later then. That's on our agenda? It's in a resolution or ordinance?
It is, and given the timing of the start date, I would suggest we do 2 readings. So we'll introduce it tonight and ask council to act on it at the next meeting.
Sounds good. Okay.
And that was my update for J.R. Smith.
But there's more.
Right, I don't know if it's in here, but I saw in our OneDrive, there's playground.
Yep.
Yes.
Mock-ups.
This we added last minute. It was our funding award certificate. We did receive some funds from Game Time and Play Corps with the Ohio Parks and Recreation Association. So that was applied towards the playground equipment. So we just included in the packet just the certificate. And then they have this program for national demonstration sites. So it's promoting, there's 5 different programs. So there's inclusive design, pathways for play, play on, which is just essentially different play equipment, all promoting health and active lifestyles for children. So through this grant, so the grant was for these national demonstration sites. So we applied for J.R. Smith Park, and our playground meets the play on requirements. So you need to have play equipment that's for swinging, climbing, slides. Very simple to obtain, but it is part of a larger network, so it does go on their website. So there's a map of a bunch of different, all throughout the country where different NDS sites are. So we will get that for J.R. Smith. And there's some information in here as well, just a little bit about national demonstration sites and then recommendations. And then I also, what else I did? Included the award letter as well that they sent to us for that. So
Is this an example or is this what you think our playground will look like?
that is what our playground will look like.
So it looks like there's at least portions of this are accessible.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep. So
Awesome.
we wanted to include one of the renderings in there, and one of the other reasons for including that is, I know a few years ago we had briefly discussed what color we want the playground equipment. So like the neutral, like natural colors, so greens, browns, beiges. Is that still something we were thinking for that, or?
Did you include the color palette?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's on package
Lots of
page.
options.
I saw that, I was like, staff recommendations is fine by me.
Yeah, so if there's no strong objection, I think we'll
That's
continue.
up to the committee. I don't have a strong objection.
I wasn't, part of this
Yeah.
initially. And I know that the norm is to do the bright colors, and I have nothing against bright colors. But I personally kind of like the earth tone,
Yeah,
sticking with nature. There's something about that I just thought might be more appealing.
Also, as a mom, I prefer lighter colors because the surface tends to be just a little bit cooler.
yep. Yeah, so I think really the point was if people felt differently, and obviously, I mean, both Mark and Nancy, you're new to this committee. But again, the recommendation early on was to really go with those more natural colors. We're going to go with that unless you were told otherwise, giving you the option. So it sounds like maybe we're still good with with the more natural color options. So we'll work through that. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the earth tone colors are great. Also, I would think for staying at least looking clean.
Yeah.
I think if you go with some colors, it won't
Yep.
look clean for too long.
Yeah.
And I like your idea on making sure we're sticking with colors that don't get hot to the touch in
Yeah.
the sun.
Or really are visible to fading.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yes.
So maybe just building a little bit on Alyssa's points here, though. So Game Time is an award, so we got a grant to help us pay for this. So that's, I think, an important point
That's
to
the
take out here.
Headline.
We had funding, that's the headline. That is the headline. So, yeah, we just wanted to make sure you understood that that was one of the things we had pursued early on as a way to help fund the project. And we weren't really clear on whether or not we were going to get the grant funding prior to, I think, the bid going out. So we've had to do a little bit of shuffling to kind of get to this point, but it looks like the contractor is working with us to use the play equipment from Game Time in connection with the grant. So that's, again, an important point, I think, to make. And then in addition to that, it then gives us sort of these additional designations that we can promote as part of our.
Any way to save money, that's great.
Yeah.
So how long ago did you say we pursued this grant?
Gosh, you've been working on it a year?
No, I think November, December timeframe.
Was that you, Alyssa? Awesome, good job. Thank you. That's exciting. This is exciting.
Yeah, so that's where we are. Just want to make sure people understand kind of how that's coming together.
Okay.
And then maybe one final point on that, we will be submitting to the state an updated capital budget request that will also include some elements of J.R. Smith Park, but really kind of on the edges outside of the current scope. So again, maybe additional cleanup work around the Lions building, maybe the parking area and the spaces up there, a little bit more on the trail connection, even though we won't all the way be able to get all the way over to the Ohio Erie Trail, maybe just a little bit more work to extend it all the way to the end of the property line. And then we had pulled some landscaping and those types of items out of the original bid because it was over our budgeted amount. So we may try to fill that back in with the capital money. So
Yeah.
no guarantee that we'll get it, but that's what our application will be for.
We've received capital money before,
have.
so,
And we do, actually we have half a million.
yeah.
Yeah, in this, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Anything else from the committee on JR Smith? Okay. Do we want to, are we skipping the master plan for right now and then going back if there's time? Okay. So play pockets at GRE.
Yes, so this idea, so Amber and I had came up with this a while ago, but this kind of came back to fruition after learning about a different grant. So we just kind of wanted to run it by the committee, get your kind of just overall thoughts on it. Yeah, I was like, it was a shortcut. So in a sense, basically in the picture, so you have your main pathway, but on the side, throughout the path system, there's going to be little play pockets, so small playground equipment essentially. So they're often small, themed, like urban play equipment that's designed towards children, community interaction. So it's really geared not so much as a large play structure, but just small little climbers, things along the trails to really keep kids engaged and want to go walking on trails, since typically trails aren't designed with that in mind. So Pathways for Play, this again is in connection with the national demonstration sites. So one of the programs is Pathways for Play, and they really encourage really integrating play into walkable, bikeable, shared use community pathway networks. So this again, if this is something we wanted to pursue, we could go for that national demonstration site designation as well. So we could have 2 places in the city with the NDS recognition. So
Is there grant opportunities as well? Is that what you're saying too? If you receive the grant, then you get the designation, or if I guess if you do it.
grant would be separate. So if the grant is completely separate from this, this is just more so if this is something we wanted to pursue within any of our parks, we could work towards getting that designation. So even if we didn't use grant money to fund this, and this was just a project down the line, we could still get that designation.
So I have 2 questions. You said parks, so there's a possibility that maybe another park in addition to GRE in the future?
Yeah, so if you didn't want like this at GRE, if you wanted it on a different pathway network, that's something we could look at as well. Maybe Old Orchard Park, because the idea is just small little structures, so they could pretty much go anywhere along the path system.
Okay, thank you. So my second question, it's I haven't been on GRE on the path since the math walk happened, and I'm just thinking about all the trees. Is there areas, specific areas in there where these little playground structures could go without disrupting the trees that are there?
Yes, so we work with a representative from Game Time. He's actually stopped by the city a few times. They always deliver a bunch of like playground packets and stuff. I have a whole collection if anyone's interested. He is working with us on kind of putting a design together. So there are spaces within GRE, and I believe on packet page, there is a map on packet page.
Once.
103.
103.
Yeah, there you go. 103, yep.
It kind of shows the trail system a little bit better, but you can see there's some spots along the edges where you wouldn't need to clear out any area. And in the center, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a purple dot. There's actually a concrete pad out there. So that's already cleared, and you could easily put some play equipment in there. So, and that was our main thing, is we would not want to clear out any natural vegetation. I know Aaron Oblet has been working back there to clear out invasive species, so there may be some room, but the less we can disturb, the better.
This is a great idea.
And so this is just a couple types of equipment. We're really aiming more towards nature, and
Mhm.
obviously these are larger pieces. They could do literally any size, so you could do a fraction of this size. So they would just be free standalone structures. And then there's some smaller ones as well.
Those are artificial?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
But they look natural. I mean, they blend in
Yeah.
like a bright red playground equipment piece.
No, we really wanted more like the nature theme for back there.
Yeah.
Ideally not anything bright, but unless they did have these like mushroom climbers that are like bright red, but I
Sure.
think those would be kind of fun
Yeah.
having those in there too. But yeah, just small equipment like these.
Is this grant that you're talking about, is there a deadline for it, or is this like a rotating grant that has?
So it was a rotating grant, but this March, so March 31st is the last deadline for it. So they started this, it's the T-Mobile Hometown Grant. They started this back in 2021 to support up to 500 small towns across the country with up to 25 million in funding for over 5 years. So each town would get about up to 50,000, and there's no matching funds required, which is always a plus. So the deadline is March 31st for this, and there's not too many requirements. They're shovel-ready projects. You need to have like a budget and stuff, but one of the big things they have is it needs up to 5 letters of support. So local government, community organizations, which, I mean, I don't think with this type of project should be difficult to obtain.
Is it reasonable to have that done by the 31st?
We're already working on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're already working on getting a design in place, a budget, and our next steps would just be getting those letters of support.
Are the schools someone that you're considering, since it's literally in GRE's backyard?
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, you can get grant money, Alyssa. You go, girl. That's awesome. These are great. I love them. Thank you, Amber and Alyssa, for coming up with this idea, and Alyssa for pursuing the grant. This is a perfect park to do it at, because outside of school hours, lots of families, and I'm sure your family's been there, our families have been there with kids, and we still go and do the path, and the exercise equipment is right there. I mean, this is the park to do it at, so perfect.
Yeah, I agree. That path is widely used
Yeah.
by a lot of kids, and I know they're out there with their bikes and just walking, and I think they would really enjoy that as well.
That's good. Keep us posted. Okay, so I'm going to move on to other parks and tree business when we have a Tree City USA application and growth award. I believe we've talked about this, but I don't remember when or what committee it was.
So in the packet, so that is our 2025 Tree City USA application and our 2025 Growth Award application. We did get both, so we were awarded. So we are now on our 18th year of being a Tree City, and this will be our 4th year with the Growth Award. So, yep, me, Jake, and Aaron, we have already been meeting, already planning, so there's already more tree projects in the work.
So maybe last time we talked, we had been applying for it, and then now we've received the award.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, so deadlines are usually beginning of December, and then it usually takes a while since there's multiple communities, but yep, I just received the email, I believe last week, so.
Congratulations.
So Alyssa, I should know this, but I don't. So 4th year for the Growth Award. That's not 4 years in a row though, right?
No,
So the last 2 years,
yes.
and yeah, okay, so the prior 2 years were kind of way back in, I don't know, way back
It
in
was
time, but they were back.
2009 and 2011.
Yeah, so it's been a while since we'd gotten that, and now we've got it
Now we're
back
on
years. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's,
Yeah, now we're trying to get those every year. That's been our goal.
It's a goal of your group.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
What is the Growth Award?
So the Growth Awards, let me see what packet page that's on.
Is that the 5 of them?
For the Growth Award, it is starting on package page 107. So there's through the Arbor Day Foundation and the Tree City USA program, they have different projects in place throughout that you can do to earn points. So you needed 10 points at least for a growth award. Each category, there's like 5 categories, and then there's like 20 subcategories within each. So one of the ones that we applied for was a species list. So putting together a list of approved trees to be planted within the city. So it's tree projects like that we go through, and we pick out some that we want to work towards, and then usually at the end of the year we'll go through the entire list and be like, okay, that's something that we did, and you need to have supporting documentation for all of it. So yeah, it's a
Yeah, and maybe I would add though, I mean, the growth award suggests that the community is trying to do more than just sort of basic tree maintenance. I mean, not that you get the Tree City USA designation that way, but it is based on a per capita investment each year. Is it $2 per?
Yeah.
Per person? Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the baseline level to get to be considered a Tree City USA. I think what Alyssa is trying to say is that, but we've tried to then take it to another level. We're still going to make that investment in tree planting and tree maintenance, but doing these additional tree programs really makes us, again, a more robust system. That's what growth really means.
Have the 18 years been 18 straight years of the Tree City USA?
yes, since 2008. Yeah, and I think this year, I want to say we ended with 21 points. And then the year prior, I think we had 23. So
So
trying to-
well over the minimum. Not a
Yeah.
10.
trying to at least go double the minimum if we can,
Yeah,
but yeah,
great.
Jake and his team, they do a lot, same with Aaron Noblet, making sure all the tree maintenance and stuff. I'm just the one that puts it on the paper. They're the ones out there doing it, getting it done, figuring it out.
Yeah,
So
it takes the
it's-
team.
It does, and honestly, without them, I don't know how much we'd be able to really do. So
Well, without you, Alyssa, same goes.
thank you.
Okay, this is going to lead right into a tree planting plan for the square. We had this on our agenda and in our packet anyway, so we're gonna talk about it, and then Mr. Bennett, if you have anything to add, we'll bring you up to the podium.
So Aaron Noblet, he put this together for us. He did existing tree inventory, so that's package page 110. So that shows everything that's currently on the square, and then packet page 111, that is recommendations. So where he thinks we should plant large trees, where he thinks small, medium trees would go. And then starting on package page.
Do you happen to have an extra copy of these or no?
No, that's not it. There should be another one somewhere.
Thank you. For Barry, you have this, Barry? Oh, okay, okay.
No, there's
Sure, look
another
up.
packet somewhere.
We'll share.
There should be.
I just want to make sure you were seeing what I was seeing.
Oh, Barry's well connected. He gets access to these things.
Okay. Barry's the favorite city
The
council
free
member.
whisper.
Okay, so, yeah, so beginning on package page 112, this is the list that Aaron Albert put together for us as what would be best for the square. So not only aesthetically, but also what will survive the best with this environment. So he's put a lot of time and effort into this list. So this is what I believe Jake will be going off of once, if there are any plantings, is he will go off this recommended list.
So not surprising. I mean, this is, a commitment with the big tree that we took down. We said we would be replacing that tree for sure, but we'd asked Aaron to give us a more comprehensive plan. So he really has done a nice job on that. I know Barry wants to talk maybe a little bit more about the size of the trees that we install, not just the size at maturity, but the size at installation. So that's, I think, a point we would want Barry to kind of elaborate on. But the other thing I would add is this, that what I didn't say to Aaron was you know, there may be other things we want to think about doing on the square. I mean, and there are things that we do on the square, right? I mean, we've got, Sunbury Sizzle and Sounds. I mean, so people are gathering on the square with some visibility to a stage. We may want to think about whether or not we're blocking too much of that visibility. Are we taking up too much of the open space? So I think this is, I would say this is kind of the first pass at it. I wouldn't say that this is the final one. The other thing I would add is when you look at the master plan for parks, one of the things that's included on the square is some sort of a, I'm going to say a little bit of a stage area or something where there could be production or music on the square or something like that. Obviously, we want to, if that is where the committee wants to be long-term, we just need to think about that in the context of where the tree plantings go as well. So there are many things at play in terms of where the trees would ultimately land. But again, I think it's a great start in terms of talking about how to, repopulate the square with some trees. If you've seen old pictures of the square, you know that we've lost a lot of trees on the square through the years. So, yeah.
So we need to keep in mind, we also host events on the square,
Yeah.
but we also
Yeah.
can certainly have more trees, but
Yes.
that line.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm sure we talked about this last time, but I'm forgetting because it's been 2 months now. Do we have, this is his dream plan.
Mhm.
Do we have a finance plan to go along with planting trees?
No, we've not done that yet. Well, that's
Sounds like a favorable argument.
We're Mr. We don't, but again, we are committed to, spending at least $2 for every resident of Sunbury to do the Tree USA designation. So, if we're not at a population of 10,000 now, but
No.
I mean, you're talking roughly $20,000 a year in trees, and that can be maintenance and new plantings as well. So, so there's something that's already built into the budget to support tree and tree maintenance.
And
The
we're
other thing I
gonna
would
be having more money coming into our parks budget.
Right. And the other thing I would add is that, we do each year for, Arbor Day. I mean, we don't do it on Arbor Day, but each year for Arbor Day, we are setting aside funds to plant trees. Now, we've planted a single tree the last few years, but it doesn't mean that we couldn't plant multiple trees. We just haven't done that, but we could start planting some multiple trees. Could we afford them all now? No. Could we afford them all at the size that I think others might like us to do? No, but at least, the beginnings of a plan, I
Right.
think gets us started in the right direction.
This sort of reminds me of Mr. Neff and our Christmas on the Square, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't just bombard the square with all of the lights and everything immediately. We just do a little bit every year. So I think
It's a great example.
it's reasonable to start and to it, and we'll see. Is there anything specifically you'd like to say to the committee, Mr. Bennett? Come on up.
Let's make sure we get that. Is the mic on?
I didn't turn it on.
Oh, we haven't. You do, we're recording you. Folks are watching this. It won't sound like it, but yeah, but it records it.
Okay, I have, as you probably all surmised by now, been in some discussions with Aaron about this for the last month or so. I will say that as Daryl just noted, this is not Aaron's final plan. This was a let's start talking about it plan. I'm gonna speak for him a little bit, but I know that this is just a first pass with him. Some things that are gonna go into this are where the big trees go, where the small trees go, and probably just as you said, other things that are going on in the square that no one's talked about, but that's his thing, not mine. I won't discuss that. Where I kind of had my desire to get more personally involved was to upsize whatever trees do go in. Now, each tree probably needs to be picked very carefully, but how big they are gets into a whole lot of other things. Did you all get the thing I sent, the note I sent to you was earlier this week?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So I don't need to read that again, but that was a pretty good outline
Mm-hmm.
of kind of my first cut at it. I'm gonna expand on it a little bit in a minute. A lot of it involves upsizing a tree and doing maintenance to the trees that exist right now are obviously a burden in both manpower and cost. And that's where I think I can help, it's important enough to me that I will do my best to put whatever funding together is necessary beyond whatever the city wants to do. And I don't know what that number is, but particularly at the moment, and this was with Mr. Hennessy earlier, discussing replacing the maple tree. I don't have 100 years to wait for the tree to grow up. So this is kind of where I started thinking of, well, let's put a bigger one in. I don't have any costs yet, and I really haven't taken this to the next step because I need approval from the city to do that, I think. Now I can go out and get all the prices I want, but it doesn't make any sense until I know what direction this group wants to go in. I want to just read a quick outline I prepared on logistics and financing and kind of where I think I would like to go. And a lot of it depends on what the city does or does not want. So just from one informal conversation with a local business owner, I've already got one person that wants to be involved. One business owner that would like to be involved in this manpower and labor. I mean, manpower and financing. And that's without even trying. It was just a casual conversation at the coffee shop. I haven't contacted anybody and I won't formally until I have a direction to go. So other businesses can be contacted, possibly with some offer of recognition, whether that's just a gold star or some kind of little plaque on a tree that this company decided to finance. I don't know. Those are just ideas that popped into my head. The other groups that I would like to contact, should we do this, are citizens groups, particularly with the schools, Scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, the Taekwondo Academy. I know they would be willing to provide labor. Schools, band group, track groups, athletic groups, maybe even some academic groups. I don't know if they have a gardening club, but those kind of things all could be brought into this. Teachers. And then, of course, individual citizens. There are plenty of people that probably would be willing to help, whether it's donations or labor. One of the items, let me backtrack just a little bit as far as labor. One of Aaron's concerns, and I share it because I've researched this for my own properties, is some damage to the tree's root system from compaction, I think is what he called it. That's from vehicles driving over it mostly. That doesn't mean we have to stop driving vehicles over it, but he would like to see much larger mulch rings around each tree. Obviously, there's cost for both mulch and putting it there and keeping it there. And that is something where volunteer labor could be handy. So from the city, there are some things that the city would need to be okay with and probably provide or expedite. And I'm just going to read down a few that popped into my head. Insurance, liability releases. What if somebody drops a shovel on their toe or something, or gets run over by a backhoe? I don't know what it is. If there's any need to have any city employees present during any work we do, I don't know. Operation of small equipment. I envision somebody's yard tractor just to scoop up buckets of mulch, and that's about it. The cost of the mulch, cost of the trees, and then the cost of upsizing the trees. And there could be a few of them. I just started discussing this with Aaron, so I don't know for sure. His initial feeling was 5 inches is probably a good compromise, but I know there are companies that put in trees much larger than that. They take a lot more upkeep for the first year to get them going. So those are some of the things that we need to discuss. As far as this mulch, if we do that, how often and how much? And probably after an event like, say, the flea market or Sizzle, where there was going to be vehicle traffic, somebody's got to come out and rake it and probably replace some. That's all part of the labor pool. And last but not least is logistics and coordination, whether that comes through the city or a volunteer such as myself. Or what? And that is all I've got for now. This was all intended just to get it on the radar.
Yeah, I appreciate your email. I appreciate you coming, even though I know you had other plans and speaking to the committee.
I'll stay here if there's any questions. If not, I'll sit down.
Well, I was just going to add, as you were talking, Barry, I'd forgotten, or until you said it, I'd forgotten. We had talked about in our donation policy, we do have a donation policy provision for a tree. Or maybe we could call it an upsize of a tree or something like that. And at least the original proposal from the staff, perspective was that, and maybe I can get you a visual of this. They do have these things you can put on the interior of a building. You've probably seen them where it's like a donation tree. It looks like a tree. It's got a whole bunch of like little pieces that you can engrave then with a person's name or something like that. And over time, you kind of fill in this whole, I don't know. It's decorative. It's on a wall. I mean, I envision that would be the type of thing that we would find a wall at City Hall, and that could be the tree wall, if you will. So there has been some thoughts to recognizing folks who want to make a contribution as it relates to trees. So, like I said, maybe we can modify that a little bit to do the upsize element as well. And then the other point I was going to make is, as he was describing that, I mean, this might also be another example where creating a community fund at the foundation would make sense. So these individuals they're not sort of working through a volunteer group to make the donations or whatever. They can make them directly to the city. The city can make it available then to whatever the labor pool is, whether that's a professional tree installer or whether that's, a bunch of citizens who want to get together and spread some mulch. So again, just another reason why that might come into play again. So I think we can work through the logistics of all the things that, Mr. Bennett has indicated there. And, he has been a strong advocate for trees and preserving trees in the city. So it should be no surprise that he's standing in front of us today supporting, more trees, bigger trees, better preservation of our trees and that type of thing. A couple of years ago, Jake and the service team did begin to put bigger tree rings around or mulch rings around the base of the trees. I think even at that time, we acknowledged they weren't big enough, but they were bigger than they were. And so there's still more work to be done there. But I think that's also something that Aaron has recommended and we've been trying to do a little bit more of.
That was in his presentation in January.
Yeah. And then maybe another point I would make is this. I'm not necessarily restricting the flea market vendors from coming on the square. I mean, that has kind of been a little bit of a tradition here. It does have risk. I mean, it does impact the trees a little bit, but we have really 2 of those events a year, plus Sizzle, where you'll have a fair amount of vehicles on the square. We've tried to minimize the amount of traffic from the farmers market that's on the square. So we are conscious of that, of trying to keep the vehicles off, but I've not been trying to prevent that in its entirety. If that's the policy we want to take, I think we would want to talk a little bit more about that. But I just want to make sure that you're not expecting me to take a firmer line on that, because I haven't taken a firm line on that. So.
Well, my understanding, and this is from Aaron again, but confirmed by my own research. And this is in that earlier paper I sent out, the tree root system extends all the way out to the tree's canopy. So as far out as there are leaves, there are roots is what that means. If the mulch ring, maybe 2 inches thick or 3 inches or whatever, extends out that far and a car drives over it, instead of having 1,000 pounds on one tiny spot, it'll spread that out just because of the mulch. So all that needs to be done after the event, should people either need to or just choose to drive on the mulch, is to go rake the mulch back up again, and then it's ready for next time. It's not as good as no traffic, but it's far better than no mulch.
Then no mulch.
Yeah.
Understood.
Would it be possible to put up like snow fencing or something around the ring just to,
You could, but I think if you did that, you would have nothing left of the square.
well, not,
I,
oh, I mean, just during the event, sorry, not, well,
Yeah.
no, how do you protect the trees?
Well, they've survived with I think the biggest traffic event in recent history has been the flea markets, although it's
Yeah, I-
been dwindling. Sizzle doesn't have much vehicle traffic, and the little bit that's there are delivery trucks, which could avoid, fencing would be good. Maybe just a word to the vendors, don't drive on the mulch, might be good enough.
Mhm.
But I don't think that's practical during a farmer's market or a flea market or something.
Mhm.
And I will end by, if the committee wants to replace the maple tree quickly, Aaron, last thing he said to me was he was rethinking what species because of shade considerations. I don't know, I'll let him take that up with you. But I can get that funded immediately if necessary.
yeah, so maybe this year's Arbor Day planting is focused on a replacement, a mature replacement for that tree again. 5 inches, pretty big tree. That's a
It's
pretty
not as
big
big
tree.
as him though.
No, it's not. It's not.
5 inches?
Yeah, that doesn't
5 inches in diameter.
that
Yeah.
doesn't seem
That
very,
doesn't seem very.
Oh, yeah.
It's not very big. It's, again, for Aaron, I'm speaking for Aaron here, but the considerations when you get into bigger tree transplants is how long it takes them to really get started again and
Sure.
retransplant them. So there are some trade-offs.
I personally, I'm all for planting bigger, it seems,
I mean, I've seen trees this big around transplanted. It's not cheap, but it can be done.
aside from cost, and you touched on it a little bit, and probably Aaron is the one who could answer better, but I think part of my concern would be the safety or the health of the tree.
Yeah,
I would
absolutely.
hate to see the city or citizens pay money and we plant these bigger trees and then they don't survive.
That's always a risk. Even with the small ones, that's a risk. But with the bigger ones, one of the things they need is a lot of water. The water costs something, but I don't think that's the showstopper. The showstopper would be making sure somebody is there to give it the water.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely risk, but, we do have a watering team during the summer. They water the
They water,
flowers.
they grow.
They're watering the trees, yeah.
I mean, a big tree we might want to put, a small underground hose to it that somebody just turns on for 3 hours a day. I don't know what the numbers are, but they do need a lot of water when they're first starting.
I know there, Alyssa, for all your tree stuff that you're doing, that you guys have a regular meeting, a quarterly or whatever with Aaron. Mr. Hennessy, do you meet regularly, or does anybody else meet regularly with Mr. Noblett?
No, I don't.
I sometimes join the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, because obviously you're bringing this to us to get the conversation started. We're not going to be able to get all the work done in this committee, but we can set a meeting at a later time with Mr. Bennett and Mr. Noblett, and I can attend, or you can attend, we can attend
Yeah, why
together.
don't we try to arrange that?
Yeah, I think Aaron would love to, but he works for a living. I'm retired, so he's got a schedule and I don't.
Yeah. Mr. Hennessy gets paid to go to meetings.
Oh.
Lucky him.
You could.
Okay, well, that sounds good. We'll continue this conversation then.
Just one question on the compaction. Do we have a history of losing trees because of compacting soil?
We have a history of losing trees.
We do have a-
Yes, but
Actually, not,
as far as why, do we know why?
well, I know that years and years ago, somebody cut a bunch of them down because they got tired of picking sticks up.
Okay.
There are a couple Aaron is treating right now that he believes are struggling from compaction.
Okay.
So that's an ongoing issue. I would say that probably we've lost some to that, but who knows? They're gone.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. And I don't know exactly, but I certainly, some of the recent trees we've lost because of disease. So it hasn't all been compaction, but yeah, some of the trees out there right now that he's caring for, I'm sure they're feeling the stress from some compaction.
Okay.
And that's in years past, the trees have lost to disease are a perfect example. Nobody was monitoring them enough to take care of them. You know, that it just hasn't been on the radar of the city for actually since I've been here, which is about 30 years. So I'm kind of fulfilling my role as designated irritant here.
Always something with you, Mr. Bennett.
Huh?
It's always something with you.
Mr. Hennessy.
Glad to have you. You keep us on our toes. You keep us having those meetings we love so much. Okay, thank you. Do we have a monthly park update this month, Ms. Graziano?
We do not, then still winter and cold, not much. The only real update we have is obviously the silver maple has been taken down. That's pretty much mainly our only park and tree update. I know Jake and his team are currently doing some work on, I believe it's on, I don't want to say the wrong street. I think it's South Miller. They're doing some tree maintenance out there, just trimming and stuff, but.
Yeah, actually, it is South Miller. So just tree trimming that, you know, every year they discover when they go out and plow the streets, which trees need to be trimmed back. So anyway, they just a little bit of cleanup there. I will note, and you may have noticed as you came in, there have been a couple of bushes removed around the square, around the building. The two over here that basically block the sidewalk as you came in. So we've cut those back as hard as we can several times, but they're gone because they're just too big for the space that they're in. And then we had some boxwoods out here on the side that at least one of them was dead, and the other one I think was starting to die. Having said that, we had talked last year. We had First Impressions in to help us do a landscape plan for the municipal building. We'll ask them to do the same thing for a landscape plan around this building. So we are going to try to update the landscaping on the square around the building.
Is there a tree update?
That was our tree update.
Because that seems like probably a little redundant at this point. This packet is so big, I don't see it, but I know it's in your OneDrive. I recommend to my committee members, so if it's not in here, look in your OneDrive. There is a park map that you put in there.
It is package page 4.
Okay, yeah, that is great. Look that over, and then we're not going to have time today to start going into our parks master plan necessarily, but they did print it for you. So it's a great reference to get familiar with, and then we're gonna start going through this as we have time in our committee. But no, I think it's easier sometimes to read it off paper. So I'm glad that they have that. And then this is helpful to familiarize yourself with all the parks, as we'll be talking about them all throughout the year.
And when we say go through the master plan, we mean make recommendations for revisement?
Not necessarily. I just, Mr. Hennessy and I met and Alyssa met, and we're just going to sort of familiarize you guys with the master plan since you're both new to council and new to the Parks Committee. And I just thought it'd be a good time and with all of the work that we're doing on J.R. Smith, it just seems like a good time to kind of go back and just look at where we at, where we've come from, where we want to go, that kind of thing.
Is there an easy place to go find what the JR Park actual master?
I can send it to you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you have it, Nancy? Maybe we'll just make sure.
Still have it, yeah.
I was gonna say, we could just send it out to all the members just to make sure they've got it. But I would also add, Madam Chair, a lot of focus on J.R. Smith Park and the work we're doing as it relates to the master plan. But there were improvements also made at the reservoir in the last couple of years as well that also were, an outgrowth of the master plan itself. So
Right.
the fishing pier and what's happening out there, the walking trail.
And I think we can go over that too,
Yeah.
when we're go over what we've already done. And
Mhm.
okay.
Okay.
Anything else from staff for parks tonight? Anything else from the committee tonight? Okay, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Seconded by Ms. Crawford. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mrs. Crawford,
Yes.
Mr. Long,